Memo was a kind of look at mental health, relationships falling apart, sort of, and being aware of it. The chorus especially kind of looks at the idea of having considered ending it all. You know, I've considered letting go, but I hope it doesn't show. It's cliched, but I mean, you know, that's the reality of it these days, sadly. But other than that, I suppose this is a way of just getting it out, talking about it being in the open, having some fun while I'm doing it, I would guess.
The writing process for this song, quite a lot of our music is, now I've immediately forgotten the word. Cooperative, sorry.
The first I heard of Memo was when Aaron brought the intro to me. I couldn't really play it. He plays it with his fingers, but I couldn't get my head around that, so I just went, I'm just gonna play it with a pick. Just practiced it for a good bit and finally figured out how to play it and finally learned his vision. I think the chorus was from another song originally that we had. I can't remember what it was. I don't think any of us can really remember what it was, but we figured it actually probably fits better in the context of this song than whatever it was in before.
We all come from such different musical backgrounds, and every idea gets its time in the sun, everything gets explored. I think it gives us a great opportunity to explore ideas that we otherwise wouldn't have on our own. That writing this song, my process would usually start with trying to get as close rhythmically as with Chris, trying to make sure that we're locked down, and letting the other two maestros work away at what they're thinking. That primarily it is trying not to overcomplicate, trying not to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes playing everything you can play isn't in service of the song. That stripping things back and making sure it is exactly what the song needs, as opposed to how can I show off.
Yeah. Writing it was actually easier than a lot of other stuff. I think lockdown happened and we sort of all spent a lot of time apart, and when we came back, like, the writing process was just so much smoother. Everyone was just there to enjoy themselves, and I think we've hit a point where I write songs for 4 people, and that's pretty much it. You know, as long as we're enjoying ourselves, so be it. If we get a banger out of it, great. You know, this one specifically started with a riff, a little picky riff at the start. Kind of showed that to Simon, and then let him take that and let me kind of work on the melodic side of it. And I think the chorus was separate initially, but when we sort of got into the room and were jamming it out, there was like this ching moment in my head where I'm like, oh shit, those two actually just straight back together. And it did, it became seamless, and it just worked so well. And I think from that point, it was a lot more kind of flourishes.
I think I tend to take more of a supportive role with the writing process a lot of the time. Yes, I'll come up with melodies and lead parts for things, but a lot of the time what I'm trying to do is play the chords that are there, but in a bit of a more interesting way. You know, so Aaron will be down here, but I'll try and get a wee bit higher up, just to support things and lift things up. The main solo kind of came from the little melody that I heard, which you can hear in the backing vocals and the choruses as well. So I think that's probably the most writing I did for it, was I just heard this little melody, and now it's like in the backing vocals, it's in the second kind of solo section. It's the entire melody of that second solo section, and it's also like hidden in the main solo as well in several different places. So I like to do that, come up with melodies and just kind of repeat them here and there and figure stuff out.
So we recorded up at Manor Park which I'd recommend to anybody. It was a really, really good experience. We spent the weekend just kind of locked away in the studio. They've got a little apartment underneath, so you can kind of separate yourself from the experience. But I think we're like just so excited when we get into these things, and it's like the 4 lads, we're away, you know, and it's, we always make the joke of we take not being serious very seriously. And this is, I think, one of those situations where we're there to work, and we all know that, but we have so much fun while we're doing it. And, I mean, I remember at one point lying on the sofa playing like Candy Crush while I was singing guide vocals to help Chris out on the drums, just completely oblivious to what's fucking going on around me. But yeah, like the whole experience is just really positive. And I think we get the main bulk of it down. Sort of everything's prepped before we go in, we know what we're recording, and then you sort of get a bit more time to add little bits of studio magic here and there, you know.
One thing we do in Romeopathy is we put a huge emphasis on pre-production. Excuse me. Before we even set foot in the studio, we have demos recorded. We know exactly what sections are where. We know the structures of the songs. We know probably 95% of what we're actually going to play as soon as we get into the studio, which is really great because on one hand, it means that the actual studio days go relatively smoothly because there's no last minute figuring out, there is last minute figuring out, but because we've already got all the stuff we know down, we can then spend a little bit more time on some of the more uncertain parts and maybe come up with new parts on the day using the time that we've saved. So that's always fun. Working with Neil on Memo was great fun. Neil Calderwood in Manor Park. He is very good at what he does. He is super quick, he's super efficient. He gets a great product very quickly, which we were all more than happy to experience. Being up in Manor Park, being away from the city for a few days, just with your boys, you know, making cool music is, yeah, it's top tier. So it was a lot of fun.
The recording process in Romeopathy is one of the funnest experiences I've had so far. That just the amount of energy whenever you walk into a place, that I figure a studio is our version of a candy shop. It's everybody comes in, everybody's barely constrained energy. There's usually at least a box of coffee, lots of scary sounding energy drinks, lots of last minute ideas. But because everything's so open and warm, everybody's so supportive that it's never a, oh my God, get this song recorded absolutely now. We've been at this where we're always having fun with it, even whenever we're trying to get the work done. That I think my main opinion is that it is work, but it is the kind of work that you could happily do every day for the rest. We've worked with some fantastically talented people throughout the entire process. That for the single itself, it was recorded at Manor Park with Neil Calderwood.
So we've been really lucky. We worked with Neil Calderwood up at Manor Park, who was a great help in kind of, I think, taking us to the next level in terms of our production value. More of a guiding hand than a firm one, you know, just sort of, have you considered maybe, you know, why don't we explore this avenue a little bit? Oh, you tried that idea, that was really nice. Which I think, yeah, it was such a positive experience for all of us that I think that would definitely something we'd do again. Other than that, we like kind of lean heavy on people in the local scene. Owen Bannon from Alpha Twin pulled together the video for us in the editing suite with footage that we shot on our phones in a room in one day, you know, and did a bang up job of it, so credit out to him.
Video we shot together in a room, just in a practice room in Blackstaff Mill in Belfast, just in a day. And we carted everything off to our friend Owen Bannon from Alpha Twin, and he edited it all together, chip chopped, and got us a what we think is a great product, considering how little effort we put in, or how little we had to work with, I should say, not because I think we used as much of that room as we possibly could for the entire process.
Worked with a local photographer called Declan McManus, who has been following us around to gigs lately, meeting us outside as well. And it's people like that. Daniel Keown worked with us on another track that'll be out at another time. I think it's important to just sort of keep things local, work with the people that you know, and everybody help everybody at the end of the day.
Declan, photographer, great photographer. We trust him with everything now. He's got every gig because he just delivers. When I see the photos after every gig, I'm just blown away by just how cool we look on stage, So yeah, big shout out to Declan as well. Cool. Watching as my life unfolds, falling over lies I've told. Watching as my life unfolds, and I've considered letting go, but I hope to God it does not show. It doesn't show.